You're about to hear Kyle Kulinski tell you something super surprising about Big Pharma. I'm going to give you a little background on the drug that he's talking about. It's actually a drug that helps cure, or I should say prevent, or even suppress prostate cancer. It's called Luprin, and you can buy it for $200 if you're in the UK. If you're in the US, a doctor can also buy it for $200, but then that doctor is to turn around and sell it for $38,000, which is absolutely wild. But that's not even the half of it. What Kyle Kulinski says about what pharma does is absolutely just wild. Let me give you a little background on the drug, though. So basically, this gentleman that you're seeing on the screen, his name's Paul Hines. This is his girlfriend. Basically, Paul, in order for his girlfriend to be with him, she was like, you need to get a physical because you're old. And he was like, okay. And then he found out he got prostate cancer. So thank God for that girl. Yeah. And then he ended up having to pay, you can see his bill here. He ended up having to pay $38,000 for one shot of a drug that actually put his prostate cancer into, I believe, I want to say remission. I'm just going to say that it suppressed it, because I actually don't know. It doesn't actually say that in the story. But yeah, this drug is $38,000. You can buy it for $200. And the doctors in the US do buy it for $200. They just choose to turn around and sell it for $38,000. It's pretty wild. That gentleman, Paul, that you just saw on the screen, he actually paid like $76,000 because he needed 2 shots because he didn't want to die of cancer. And yeah, Kyle Kulinski is going to go into it a little bit for you guys. Coach Colin, coolest high performance coach in the world. Hit subscribe if you haven't already.
We became a giant corporatocracy where billionaires and corporations run the show. People never get the things that they actually want. So in my opinion, what you need is sort of like a grassroots movement on specific issues to achieve specific wins. So, one of my big things is universal healthcare. We are literally the only developed country in the world that doesn't have universal healthcare. There's a Commonwealth Fund study that comes out every few years, and they find that we rank 11th out of 11 of the countries that they study when it comes to our healthcare system. So we know how to do it, and there are experts in the world who can construct much better systems, but we don't do it, again, because of the influence of money in politics. The health insurance industry buys the politicians, and so they keep scamming. I mean, Big Pharma is like the biggest scam going. For over the past 20 years, you've had a situation where they make sorry, hold on one sec. Over the past 20 years, it's all tax money that funds new medicine. All that comes out of tax dollars. So what happens is you have grants go to universities, and they do the research, come up with the new drugs. Then Big Pharma swoops in, buys up the intellectual property rights for those things, and then sells it back to us at a colossal profit. So we pay for the research up front, and then they charge us on the back end. It's crazy. So there's an example. I covered a story recently. There's a drug in the UK, a cancer drug coming out of the UK. It costs about $200 in the UK. This is a drug that's existed for decades now. We pay $38,000 for that drug here.
Holy shit.
Total scam. It's a total fucking scam. You can look it up. It was a Raw Story article. It's a drug for a specific kind of cancer. Type in like Raw Story 38,000 cancer drug. $38,000 cancer drug. Yeah. And that's just one example, Joe. I mean, there's so many examples of it's just a giant scam. They're a middleman.
$38,398 for a single shot of a very old cancer drug. $38,000. That is so crazy. Wow. Prostate cancer.
There you
go. Wow. Okay. Well, we're going through the article there, but that's all the above. Insane.
Absolutely insane. So my answer is you need a grassroots movement to try to get universal health care. You need a grassroots movement to try to get a higher minimum wage or get sectoral bargaining across the country. There are things that we can do that would fight back. Now, honestly, when you talk about Joe Biden, he is largely a status quo protector. There are little ways in which he's sort of tweaked it a little bit, where he's doing stuff that you could never even imagine Obama doing.
Let's do this in a minute because I got to pee.
Sure.
Yeah, Joe Biden. Yeah, status quo protector. Yeah, he's doing things. I'm sure it's him that's doing things. Just saying. I'm not on either side. I'm just saying. He's kind of weekend at Bernie's kind of guy. You know what I mean? He has some strings to him, I think. But aside from that, big pharma, the fact that they're able to do that is absolutely crazy. And the thing that I guess I have to say in terms of my take on it is like, when is it gonna stop? Like when and how does that stop? Because it's like they run a lot of the ads. Like Joe Rogan's even talked about it. If you want to find out about that, like I don't even know how much I can actually say. They run so much of the ads on TV. They have stadiums. They have so much. They have their tentacles in so many things. Like, when are we going to be able to say that you can't do that anymore? Like, even with what Kyle Kulinski said, the real wild thing that he said is that taxpayers pay for the research. Pharma then takes pretty much the fruits of that labor, takes the patents, sells the thing for a dramatic. So it's like they don't even have to pay for the research that's done for the thing that they end up selling. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't understand how, like, I get how it's allowed because they pad everybody's pockets, but it's like, I don't know, man. Like, when does that stop? When does that stuff stop? Like, when and how? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. $38,000. And they can do that with anything. Like, what was that other guy? Martin Scarelli or whatever? He, like, jacked up some AIDS medication. It's like, why can one industry do absolutely ludicrous things to the public? And it's like, it's not even just like, it's things that you need. Like that gentleman that I showed you, Paul, he was going to die. And they're like, well, you have to give us a year's salary, you know, because he paid like $75,000. Like you just, if you want to live, that's what you're going to do. So now you're like taking out a loan to live. And I'm sure he's well off because the guy's a doctor. But still, you know, like, what if you're not well off? What if it's just some guy that works in a factory and he has prostate cancer? There's a thing that literally costs $200, a price that he could actually afford. Maybe if you double, triple it, he could still afford it. It'll put him in the hole a little bit, but he can still live. But instead, it's like, well, there's nothing we can do. How many times has a doctor said, there's nothing we can do to somebody who, like, they know there is something they can do, but they know that person can't afford it? Because that's the last thing you want to say to somebody that has prostate cancer. Well, there is something, but I'd have to charge you $70,000 if you want to get cured. You'd be like, especially if you find out it's $200. And like, how many other things are like that? How much does chemo actually cost? You know what I mean? It's like these guys are treating life-saving drugs like they're Nike shoes. It's like, yeah, it costs 40 cents to make, and then we sell it for $240. Like, what's the big deal? It's like not even Nike's that heartless. Even Nike's just like, you know, let's just cap it out at 500. Let's just charge them for that. Nah, I mean, the kid who made it's already dead. It doesn't matter. Let's just 500. You give us 500, you're good. Yeah, they're Jordans. Yeah, they're real. Here you go. I don't know. It's such a wild concept to me that we allow that to take place still. And again, I don't know how any of us could ever stop it, but it's like, at some point, someone has to stop it. Like, I'm not saying, I don't even know what I'm saying, but it's crazy that we live in a world where that's happening. And then again, because I like to ask the questions beyond, where else is that happening? How many other things are like that? That's just one thing that we figured out. That's just one thing we just heard about that I verified via the internet. How many other things are like that? How many other things really cost cents and they should be available to everybody, but just because of somebody's greed? And it's greed. I know it's a company and they have a bottom line, but that's greed. At that point, I don't know. It's weird. And I can't even say it's big pharma's greed because that's a doctor, that's a hospital, that's a medical industry that's choosing to charge that much. It's wild, man. It's wild. And the only reason I bring it up, my dad died of cancer. I think he had like stomach cancer. because he had like colitis and stuff, and he didn't take care of it. He wasn't like watching it. But if there was something that could have been done, like he hated chemo. If they could have done something else, but he was just like way out of that tax bracket because we didn't have any money. We're just regular, you know. How many people die like that, where if they just had access to like massive funds, they could live? And why is it set up like that? I don't know. I have no idea. But anyway, I'm out. Crazy. Look into it. Luprin, Lupro. Just look into the $38,000 drug. You'll see it. It's crazy. It's crazy. Peace.